here in Karachi with you. Shukriya mujhe aaj yahan aane par fakhar hai. And Tauhan ji mehrbani muh ke achhe ke atan jo izzat hasil hai. I hope you will forgive my pronunciation, but I'm here to learn and I'm very happy to be here. And thank you also to Syed Muhammad Ahmed Shah for bringing us all together at the Arts Council of Pakistan, Karachi, for this valuable and timely conference, which provides a unique opportunity to celebrate and discuss language as the expression of culture and languages. We have speakers of many languages here today. Indeed, the conference program features panels on several major languages of Pakistan. And I hope that you will accept my speech in English because Basmati, I don't speak Urdu or Sindhi or Balochi, Hindko, Saraiki, Burshaski, Punjabi, and the many other languages that make up the rich linguistic landscape of Pakistan. The linguistic landscape of Pakistan is rich and verdant. As a speaker of English from the UK, I admire this rich landscape, which I have been hearing all around me since I arrived in Karachi. Everybody I meet here speaks at least 3 languages, often 4 or 5 or 6. And this multilingualism is a way of life that speakers navigate in subtle and often unspoken ways. As a linguist who specialises in Arabic and the languages of the Middle East, of West Asia, I have a great interest in the ways in which people navigate their multilingualism. And this is what I want to talk to you about today. So I want to introduce you to something I learned very early in my Arabic journey. In the mid-1990s, I was working with a poet from the south of Iraq who was living in exile in London. He wrote his poetry, he composed his poetry, not in classical Arabic, but in colloquial Iraqi Arabic, and specifically the Arabic of southern Iraq. One line of his poetry was difficult to translate because there was no equivalent in English. Linguists call this a lexical gap. The tricky word was fale. A fale is looks like a pitchfork. It's a spear for spearing fish in the marshes, but it has 5 prongs. So it's a spear with 5 prongs that you spear fish with. Now, this was a line of poetry, so I couldn't translate it with something as clumsy as one 5-pronged fishing spear, because this is far too clumsy for poetry. But of course, the problem actually was not just translating it into English, because many speakers of Arabic would also not know what a fale is. So outside of Iraq, and in different dialects of Arabic, people would not know the word fale, although they all equally consider themselves to be speakers of Arabic. So this is a small example to illustrate a couple of points. The first point is that language and culture are inextricably intertwined. Language is culture. Language expresses culture. And secondly, both culture and language are tied into our sense of identity and our sense of self. And so we must ask whether having different words with different linguistic systems, that is what linguists call variation in language, whether this results in differences in identity. And here there's an interesting question. When one person speaks more than one language variety, whether they understand these to be different dialects, how does this affect their sense of identity and their understanding and their expression of themselves? So there are perhaps 6,800 to 7,000 languages spoken in the world today, but this is a very disproportionate because a small minority of languages dominates the map. and more than half of the world's population speaks only 23 of these languages. Half of these languages are endangered, and they are under threat of extinction probably this century. So 50% of the languages of the world today may disappear. So I want to move to conclude by talking about the rich linguistic landscape of Karachi. Most people I've asked here, so I think it's only 2 days, but I have spoken to a lot of people and asked a lot of questions. Most people tell me that they speak at least 2 languages, and often here in the city they also speak English. So how do we comfortably navigate a more complex linguistic landscape while maintaining our heritage? And I want to conclude by pointing out that here at the 15th World Aalmi Urdu Conference, we will spend 4 days navigating multilingualism. And I want to posit that our heritage and our identity is not just tied to the languages we speak, but also to the fact of our speaking several languages, to the multilingualism itself. There are different ways of navigating the multilingualism, perhaps through code mixing, perhaps through code switching, perhaps through borrowing vocabulary, and so on. So I've spoken briefly about multilingualism. I want to think over the next few days how we can explore the positive aspects of multilingualism, and also to acknowledge the complexities of the multilingual context, and perhaps how we navigate the multilingual environment is maybe less important than that we are simply navigating it, and that we all navigate it differently. So I think here we're all in agreement that language is an inextricable part of our identity and our heritage, and we're aware of the desire to preserve our heritage, but not to allow it to become something stale and distasteful, but to allow it rather to live and to breathe and to grow. So most importantly, we know that language connects us. It connects us to other people, it connects us to ourselves, it connects us to our identity, to the parents and the grandparents and the past and the heritage that is also part of our individual identity, but in living and breathing and growing, language connects us also to our future. This conference encapsulates and celebrates and explores languages and linguistic diversity and the multilingualism of Pakistan. And it celebrates too how language lives and breathes and grows. I wish you all a wonderful 4 days here at the Arts Council's 15th Aalmi Urdu Conference and a wonderful linguistic exploration. Thank you. Bahut shukriya.